What's up YouTube, Zed here, back again with another video, and today we'll be doing the very quick Intel Core i5 Skylake Edition holiday computer build. For those who are going to be going out and shopping at Black Friday this weekend, you guys can go ahead and pick up this parts list and hopefully be able to game at 1080p max settings, 60 FPS with absolutely no problems on most to all AAA titles that currently rest today, such as Metal Gear Solid 5, Call of Duty Black Ops 3, Destiny, as well as some of the newer, better games such as Battlefront and Fallout 4 that just released a few weeks ago, actually a week ago. So here it is, Intel Core i5 6500, a quad-core CPU. Most games nowadays only utilize 4 cores. There's absolutely no game that we know of as of right now, including Crysis 3, that does not utilize does utilize more than 4 cores, so you're pretty much set for the next few years. A lot of games are not going to be really utilizing more than 4 cores, but when they do, you're going to need to upgrade, sadly. But for the next 2 to 3 years, it should help you, and it will be very, very good. Quad core is great for multitasking, clocking at 3.2 gigahertz, and yeah, it's really fast. The new Skylake supports DDR4, 6 meg level 3 cache, very low powered CPU of 65 watts. It can be overclocked if you're into that thing, though I would highly recommend not doing so. Well, actually I would kind of recommend doing so, but at the same time, I would only recommend it if you go for something like a Hyper 212 Evo as a CPU cooler, because it does include a CPU cooler, which we'll be using in today's build, but it's not enough for overclocking, especially since this CPU is mainly meant for basic operations and to really as a cheaper processor for those who are not into spending a lot. Now, it will not bottleneck any of the GPUs or anything that we put in there, so that's why I recommend it. It's only it's sub $200. Highly would recommend it. Let's jump straight into this motherboard here. This here is the MSI Z170 PC Mate Full ATX LGA1151 motherboard, supporting the new Skylake 6500 that we're putting in this bad boy. Intel Z170 chipset. That's Z170 is the Z series is good for overclocking, the H series is not, so that's good. You also get 4 total RAM slots supporting up to 3200 MHz DDR4, max up to 64 gigs. It does support RAID, has Crossfire X support, as well as 4 SATA 6 gigabits per second ports, as well as a SATA Express and gigabit Ethernet, as well as onboard USB 3.0. Also supporting 6 total USB 3.0 headers on the back in terms of I/O. Then you've also got a really nice black, full-on black design with heat sinks throughout to help cool all of the chipset. 2 PCI Express X16s, and it's a full ATX motherboard, and I highly would recommend this mobile. It's roughly $100, and yeah, it's gonna house the i5. Speaking of memory, actually we weren't talking about memory, but we are now. This here is the G-Scale Ripjaws of V series, 16 gigs of DDR4, 2400 MHz. This here is red RAM. I know it doesn't really go along with the motherboard, but red and black have a really good theme going on here. Since we're going for a team red graphics card, we're going to choose a team red set of memory. This here is 16 gigs. Most games nowadays, a lot of them utilize up to 8 gigs, so I'd highly recommend getting more than 8 gigs so you can run things like Fraps, DX Story, Skype, and Chrome all on the same while you're gaming, so you really can also live stream and edit videos without having to really maximize your RAM and being bottlenecked because you only have 8 gigs. 16 gigs of total RAM at 2400 MHz. This is DDR4, so it's ultra fast, and it has its own heatsink, and it's 2400 MHz, which is pretty much the standard for DDR4, and like 1600 MHz is the standard for DDR3. So there you go, $90 for this set of DDR4 memory. This is actually really cheap RAM, as DDR4 is quite expensive. If you go out, you're looking at around $150, $160 for DDR4 16 gig kits. So really cheap here. Now moving down to storage, we have the Samsung 850 EVO series 250 gigabyte 2.5 inch solid state drive at SATA 6 gigabits per second. In fact, I've used these SSDs before. They're insanely fast. 250 gigs is a lot of storage for especially things such as DX Story that's very heavily reliant on fast storage. You can go ahead and record to it. 250 gigs will give you plenty of storage for all your video games, all of your memory, and if you don't really have enough, if you end up filling that thing pretty fast, then you can also we're obviously putting in a Western Digital Caviar Blue, the 1TB hard drive. That's going to cost you half the price at $50. It's 72,000 RPM, SATA 6 bits per second, SATA 3 very fast hard drive, and this one's gonna also allow you to put in all the games that you weren't able to fit on the 850 onto this hard drive, and then whatever games you record onto the SSD, you can transfer over this 1 terabyte and then edit your stuff on. So that's why I'd highly recommend going for this SSD hard drive combo, so that you can record and also the programs that you want to run very quickly. You can put on the 850, and then things that don't really need to be ran quickly, such as games and recording, so you really don't need them after you record them. You don't really need them to be on a fast SSD, since this computer is not really meant for insane video editing. So there you go, that's storage. Moving down, we have the graphics card. This here is the R9 390 in 8GB edition 390 for $310 on sale. Though during Black Friday, I'm sure it's going to drop below $300, so make sure to watch out for those. It's GDDR5 8 gigs with it's pretty high TDP of 275, but however, our power supply will be able to support it. PCI Express 3.0 X16, core clock speed at 1 GHz. It does have 2 fans on it for very good cooling. It also included backplate that looks really cool. Team Red, this whole red graphics card goes along with the red RAM. It does support quad SLI and as well as FreeSync. This graphics card is very fast, and it also can be overclocked, as well as the fact that this GPU is usually it's not usually, but it's a very good 1080p 60 FPS card, handling every single game that you want to put on it at 60 FPS 1080p. In fact, you could probably hit even higher than 100 FPS on some of the new AAA titles such as Black Ops 3 and Fallout 4 and other games of that nature. So with that being said, there's the GPU. Moving down to the case, we have the Corsair 200R, a full ATX, sadly not a full ATX, but a mid-tower ATX case that does not, it's a complete black case, kind of goes along with the motherboard and the black and red theme of the RAM, as well as the black and red theme of the GPU. Supports up to full ATX motherboards, has front panel USB 3, also supports pretty long length graphics card, and you can also remove the drive cages in here if you want to put even bigger graphics cards. 4 total 2.5-inch base for SSDs, and 4 total 3.5-inch base for full length 3.5-inch hard drives. Okay, now I'm starting to cough a lot. So this case costs around $60, and a lot of people recommend it. In fact, Kerry Holzman himself recommends this case to a lot of new people that are looking to do budget builds under $1,000. So moving along, we have the power supply. It's the last of the build. This here is the Corsair CX 500 watt, a black power supply, again to go along with our red and black theme. 500 watts is enough for the GPU plus CPU and SSD, as well as hard drive and other accessories that we're putting inside this build. It is semi-modular, so you basically have the 8-pin and 24-pin hardwired into the power supply itself, and then the extra 6+2 pins and SATA stuff actually is not hardwired. It does support up to dual SLI, and it is semi-modular, 80+ Brown certified. And yeah, okay, now I'm really sick. Like, I went from being very good health to now being very sick. This sucks. Okay, there you go, guys. That is it. $1,000 for the holiday computer build. If you guys have any questions, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Let me know in the comment section down below how this video went. I know some of these parts are not the best of choices, but really, in fact, actually they are the best of choices. Currently, the i5 will not bottleneck to 390. The only thing that will technically bottleneck will be the power supply in terms of upgradability. So if you really want to get to maybe a fewer EX, you may need to upgrade this power supply, as well as if you're looking to do SLI, you're going to need to upgrade to a higher power supply. Also, if you're doing some overclocking, this CPU is not really meant for overclocking, but if you are, make sure to get an aftermarket CPU cooler. I'd highly recommend the Hyper 212 Evo. But this computer is going to be able to run every single game at 1080p 60 FPS, and you can record live stream and all that fun jazz while on the side. So with that being said, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Just smash the like button, tell me in the comment section below what you guys thought, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.